Hello, everybody, and welcome to another YouTube video, again with Nicky Schuller. And I'm Monica Schaffner. And Nicky, I'm very happy to have you here again. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me, Monica, and hi, everybody. It's so great to be here.
And today's topic is about the very intense and transformational time we're going through. We have mentioned it in last videos. It's the ascension process, and sometimes there are phases which are more intense than others, respectively. Some forces come from the outside, and for some people it's very uplifting, and for some it's very rather tiring, and so we would like to discuss a bit about that and what you can do, or just in order to know that already can help you if you probably knew and don't know what's going on because you're very tired or have pain in the body or whatever. Okay. And Nicky, what are your own experiences about healing, and especially these times where high energies come from above, let's say? What can you say about maybe also the sources or about your own experiences?
Thank you. Yeah, so at the moment we're in the middle of the eclipse season. Eclipse season meaning that at least this time we had a solar eclipse about, I think, 9 days ago, something like that. And this Sunday we have a lunar eclipse. Sometimes we actually have 3, so it can be lunar, sun, lunar. Right now we're lucky in the sense of only 2. And I feel like, at least for me, I like to understand kind of what's going on, and I don't excessively go into things, but over the last many years, following things and just observing how I react to something. The solar eclipse is a lot about like burning things away. So it can be physically, in the sense of really going into our physical body and giving like a lot of like muscle pains, or like it can even heat up a lot. Like it's literally like that burning away. So the body will heat up and burn away energetic things, blockages, traumas, all that type of stuff. And that can be, on one hand, taxing. So we can feel physically really, really tired, but all of our cells and our whole body starts to kind of like almost shake. Around a solar eclipse, around the solar eclipse, it's very common for people to have like heart palpitations, kind of even anxiety attacks, or the feeling of an anxiety attack, because again, our cells start to shake, and that gives us a feeling of shaking, right? Or maybe a feeling of, nervousness. But if we can relax into it, we can realize that those cells are shaking and working, and it's just because so much light is hitting our body. I kind of call it cell jingling, kind of because they start to jingle. So, and at the same time, a lot of people during the solar eclipse, like can have difficulty sleeping. Again, because you have so much light hitting the body. And when I'm saying during a solar eclipse, in the past, it used to be 5 days prior, 5 days after, or actually it originally was 3 days, 3 days prior, 3 days after. So you have a period of 6 days, you would feel the solar eclipse. And the lunar eclipse, same thing. Well, at one point, after years, it started to extend to 5 days prior, 5 days after, 7 days prior, 7 days after. And now it's so intense, it's 10. So what happens with a lunar and a solar eclipse is they overlap now, in the sense of you can really feel both energies of both eclipses so intense, and then it overlaps. So you're feeling both, which gets super intense, as it has been this time, or probably even last time, or last few times. What I believe is really important during the eclipse. So some people can also experience it kind of as, again, like I said, it can hit the physical body very strongly. So you can have flu symptoms. By the way, flu symptoms, higher dimensions, is frequency, light, upgrades. So there's no flu in the common sense anymore. We don't get sick here. It doesn't exist. What happens is there's light upgrades, right? The frequency upgrades. So that it can happen that we get those symptoms, like, you know, you can talk about that a little more in a second.
The symptoms, yes.
I know you had it. And then, so going from the solar, the lunar eclipse is pure shadow work. So first we heat up, we burn away, we this, we that, on a very energetic and a very physical level. And then we move to the lunar eclipse that is very, very emotional. It can go deep, deep, deep into that emotional work, deep, deep, deep into that also energetic work, and looking at old trauma, old stuff. So a lot of people have those past scene scenarios.
Dreams also. Vivid dreams also.
Yes, yes.
I had some really crazy dreams.
Yeah. Because nowadays we also work through stuff in our dreams, right? Mm-hmm. So it'll get very, yes. And also like a lot of old programmings, old traumas, old wounds that end up showing up that have maybe even potentially festered, right? And it's a lot of that. It takes a lot of that going inward and looking at that and dealing with that. And like I had last week, I had something really, really big show up that I was kind of, you know, so we go to the next level and then there's a deeper level of stuff to look at, right? And we go to the next level vibrationally. So we raise in frequency, but then we have another deeper level to look at as something that we hadn't maybe in a while. And for me, it really was like, I had a total meltdown last week. And it was just I was not listening in that moment. I kind of got, with the high frequency, with the high vibrations coming in, I was kind of obsessed with something that I had to get done. I had to, right? And I was like a dog with a bone. I wasn't letting it go. Like, and my body was like, you gotta rest. And I'm like, no, I gotta get this done. And I just was like, and then at one point I had just absolute meltdown, and I'm like, I'm so done with everything. I can't deal with it anymore. It's all just too much, and I'm doing so much, and I just can't. And I just put everything away. And I mean, it's not my first rodeo, right? I know this stuff. So I put everything away, and I laid down and I cried and I screamed, I shouted, and I just let all of it out. And I was just transforming with the Andaras and with what was showing up. And I was just crying and letting it go. And then I could just feel that ease. It wasn't peace right away. Peace would be very exaggerated at that moment, but I could just feel that slowly coming back in because I was taking the time. And the rest of the day I didn't do anything, even though I knew I had to get stuff done. I just put everything away, and then it got to slowly but surely transform itself that way. So yeah, that was my big, because it was overlapping last week still. The lunar eclipse, now we just have the lunar eclipse. The solar eclipse energies, they have resided, and we've transcended that. Yeah.
Okay, and the good thing is also for the people to know if they're in a phase where it's going down, whether it's for some hours, for some days, or even longer, to know that there will be the other side as well. So life isn't just, you know, straight. Life is up and down, and we can still come to a higher frequency, but also to know, as you said, also, you know, that it happened before, and yeah, we can let it flow through us. And of course, if people who don't understand it, and if somebody gets a panic attack, they might call for help, but of course things will pass through. That's also important to know.
Yes, 100%. And something's actually really interesting, because a lot of people feel like they're going lower in vibration, but it's not true. It's so much light hitting us, so it's forced to look at the shadow. The shadow was there the whole time. We don't lower our frequency by looking at the shadow. right? It's just coming to the surface. And by looking at it, we raise our frequency. Like people, that's kind of like the interesting part that people believe sometimes that if they don't look at something, right? Like it's not there, but it's vibrating in your system all the time. At all times, it's there. Somebody like you or me or other people that work with others, we feel that in that person's field at all times, right? So when we look at it, we feel like because we're going deep. Deep doesn't mean low, right? So we look at it, and then by looking at it and transforming it, we do a jump in the end in our vibration, but it never lowered in the end.
Yeah, that's true, as you said, because something can only come up if it's there. I don't know if I had it in the video with you last time or with another person, but I heard a nice little story that if you have a cup of tea, a cup of hot tea holding in your hand, and you're standing at the bus station and somebody is bumping into you by accident and the tea is spilling over, then you can ask yourself, why did it happen? And you can say, yes, it was because the other person was bumping into me, so it's the other person's fault, putting the finger onto the other or onto the outside. But if you look at it, it could happen because hot tea was in the cup. If there was coffee in the cup, there would have been spilled over coffee. If there was water in the cup, it would have been water. Or if there was nothing in the cup, there wouldn't have been anything coming out of the cup. So the cup is us, and the liquids is everything which is in us, which can be solved. And so that's a nice example. Something which comes out of us is always in us, and the outside, of course, is a trigger. Yes.
Absolutely. How was it for you? How did you experience these last few days?
Actually, when I go a little bit back, maybe also at the beginning of the year, I had a lot of times headache, pain in the neck, sometimes in the back. And I haven't experienced it that really for a long time. It came and came and came, and now it stopped kind of. But then about 4 weeks ago, I had, the thing that we called flu. I wasn't like laying all day in bed, but I was tired. I had a bit, not really a runny nose, but here in the nose, my voice got a little bit tense, and I wasn't coughing really, but there was just something going on, and I had also pain in the body, like the muscle ache you sometimes have when you got a flu or whatever. We call it flu. And then for one night, or evening already, I felt really pain in my legs, even in my bottom, and maybe also on the lower side of the leg, but not on my upper side of the body. And so I thought, I go to bed early, and I couldn't sleep. I was turning and tossing around, and it was really hurting. It was like burning a bit. It was like when you got sore muscles, but I know I didn't do any sport which could have caused that. And it wasn't the same symptoms as when I normally have these symptoms before you get sick or whatever. So it was really, really intense. And I didn't understand. Of course, I know about the transformational process, but then I went to the doctor just in the morning because I said, if there is something in my body, like really a lack of minerals, a lack of magnesium or whatever, then maybe I know it and I can even do something on the physical side. But everything was fine. And after 2 or 3 days, it was maybe fading away. And then now it's all fine again. But it was really hurting, and I was really, really tired. And also I just I took a rest, and I canceled a few meetings with clients and private meetings, and it was just like, I need to, and I'm too tired, I can't do anything else. And I was again, you know, accepting the situation, and don't be, I was not in the victim mode, or in the, you know, in the, oh, poor little me. I was just saying, okay, whatever it is, I let it go through me. And finally, now I'm having a lot of energy. I don't know how I will feel tomorrow, but now I'm very energetic, and really brought up a few new things in my business and so on. So it was like, you know, a phase where maybe I needed to go through in order for now to really have even more power. And now I see also why it needed to happen. It's not like, oh, I missed meetings, I missed money because I'm self-employed. If I have no clients, there's no money. It was just like, I know it's going to be better, and accept it. And that was my learning. And also to learn when the body is showing you something, then we need to listen to it and accept it, or try to do the best out of it. Because I took, you know, alternative medicine, if we call it that way, Similasan drops or something, yeah, whatever. I did things in order to soothe my neck pain and so on. So it wasn't that I didn't do anything, but I didn't take really chemical drugs or such a thing. Yes.
I believe that part of the ascension, part of the, you know, becoming more and more conscious, is realizing that that's why, like, we call it frequency light upgrades, right? Because our body needs to release the density of the past, and it needs to come into a higher vibration. And what shifts between the old and the new, a big part of what shifts is our light body is the most important thing in the end. Like, our light body needs to be fully fueled, fully taken care of. It needs to have its highest vibration that it can. And that means during times like these, and again, we're always a bit in different collectives, so it can be at different times, it can be, but like, I remember, because we were in contact, right? And I remember you telling me, and I'm like, you know, this is exactly during the solar eclipse energies, right? That was a big part of these light frequency upgrades. And so the physical body needs to purge for that, right? The physical body needs to be as pure as it can. And when we have old stuff, it's stuck all over there. Our old stuff, the old vibrations, the traumas, everything is stuck in our physical body as well, right? Not just as well, it's the main place it is stuck. It's not just the energetic. And like, it's stuck in our muscles, it's stuck in our bones, it's stuck in our teeth. It's really, really stuck. And so like, for me, when you're experiencing, you know, with like the burning sensation with your lower legs, and it's like, okay, full on grounding that light that's coming in, full on transformation, right? And the important part of it is, we're taken care of by the universe. We're 100% taken care of by the universe. And when we're in service, right, we do our service work, we do what we feel called to do, there will be phases where put out, like, it's totally like, we have to lay down and go through these upgrades, and we got, oh, right, the money is, it's just, it's you know, it's an intermediate in the end. Comes in and it flows out, and it flows back out, that it can be that way, right? And it is that way, and we're taken care of during the times where we need to upgrade. Like, I have not offered personal sessions for like, I had to focus on my physical body and the upgrades happening, right? And that's so to also surrender to things and surrender and listen, like you said, you know, like you did. If we're not overflowing with light, if we're not overflowing and can give with overflowing, we're not giving anything. If we're not at our highest vibration, we're not assisting anybody. So we need to take that time in those moments to get back to overflowing, and not with, I have to get overflowing, but realizing, okay, I'm upgrading right now. My physical body is doing a shitload of work because my light body is, you know, having all this light that's hitting it, right? And like we're, physically, we see 1/10 of what we do and what we are, only because we don't feel like we're doing much. You know, we don't see we're doing much. It's the opposite.
And it's not only for the people who are already in a certain state of frequency, and it's not for the people who are just, you know, healers and therapists and so on. All the people are going through this transformational phase. They might not be aware what's going on, or maybe they realize, of course, something is going on, or they maybe think something is different, and they maybe start also to see or feel differently, but they don't know about the spiritual or the, I mean, it's not just a spiritual transformation, it's a transformation on all levels, but they're not aware of it. And that's a bit the thing also that we would like to inform people who probably come on my or your YouTube channel and watch this video, and then they think, oh wow, now I understand why I'm going through a hard phase, or now I understand why I can't sleep. Of course, if somebody can't sleep, it can be because of the stress in the life. It can also be that somebody can rearrange their life, but sometimes, you know, there are different layers causing a problem or causing disbalance. It's also, and sometimes we can change also something, because I have a friend, and she also she didn't feel well for a long time, and then finally she went to nutrition analyze, and there they found out that something in the stomach wasn't right. And she only knew that because she went to somebody who really took analyses on her blood and so on. And now she changed her diet. She wasn't eating really badly, she was already aware, but now she knows what she could avoid, and now she feels much better. So we can also do something on the physical to probably lower symptoms. That's also possible, but sometimes it's just letting flow all that through us.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta like support the physical body however we can, right? Like during these times when it's so intense, I like to take, well, first of all, our light body is fueled by vitamin D, like the main, right? So vitamin D we can get, of course, through the sun when there's sun out. Not always the case, and we like, it can really have like the skin exposed to the sun, and there it's really important that we also expose it without sunscreen at times. I mean, I don't really use sunscreen except for if I'm in a place like Egypt or something, or really high in the mountains. But I also take care on how long I'm in the sun. Like I'll also go into the shade or anything. But yeah, vitamin D that way, and also through drops, right? The oil, the vitamin D is super important. It's the main fuel again for the light body. And there's one of the most important things is our light body. And for the physical body, because when there's so much light hitting us and it's flowing through, often our physical body will start to tense up, like the muscles, and also our brain can get very hyperactive through it. So I like to take the liquid magnesium, and there's one to put onto the skin, but the one to intake. So gotta take care of which one you take. You don't want to intake the one that's for the skin. But yeah, there's really good, I have to order it. I haven't found it in Switzerland per se. I usually have to order it online. And there's really good liquid magnesium, because the liquid magnesium is the natural one. It's naturally so much higher in magnesium. And again, it's natural what you want to do and take. And so well, I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So the issue with usually magnesium is that we can get the runs if we overdose. And we need to overdose to relax the whole body. So we need to take care that we take a magnesium that doesn't give us the runs. And in my experience, the liquid magnesium is one of the best things to do for that. And the stomach stays okay. But there's also other things, right, that we can take to support our system, our physical body. And that's just, in my opinion, the physical body is our temple, right? It's the one that carries us here. And the physical body is what fuels the light body. The light body can't be here without a physical body. So we got to take care that the light body has a vessel, and the vessel is super important.
Yes, and also whatever we can do to make us feel good, that's important. Go into the nature. You said vitamin D, the sun, but also go into the wood. There's a much higher frequency than anywhere else. And, you know, if you walk, you also, you can bring out stress hormones, or it just feels good to walk without a cell phone, without music, for example, or yeah, you can do a meditation, or as you said, watch what we eat, what you consume, or maybe go to a massage. We can also, you know, do good things and let us help also. So, and sometimes reading a book can help, but I think it's important that we take care of our body by living it, or by changing the food, by changing our habits, and maybe move more, or take a step back and breathe deeply, whatever. And I think really slow down, it's so important. And not only when we are already knocked down, when our body says, I can't, because then it's clear we are forced to rest. But then already to feel and have a daily, maybe it's a routine, or maybe it's just go within us, and or weekly, and really care about ourselves in all levels. It's very important. And sometimes it means cutting contacts with other people, or canceling a meeting, a private meeting, or a business meeting, or whatever. But if it's for our highest good, it's sometimes meaning that other people could be disappointed, but that's life. And if we don't look for ourselves, nobody will.
Yeah, and I mean, that goes back to, right, if we're not overflowing, we have nothing to give technically, right? And just keeping an appointment just because we keep it for the sake of keeping it, the other person, there's nothing, right? There's nothing to give in that moment. So yeah. And also, and that's something somebody had told me, it's a while back now, but like, give yourself a pat on the back. You're doing so much. You're doing so much, you know, give yourself a pat on the back, take a break. Like I experience often, and that's also like, for example, how that happened last week, right? I was just doing so much and wanting to give so much, and what, you know, giving more, and just, you know, service work, I gotta do my service work, you know, just kind of, and just not realizing that, you know, we're already doing so much. Sometimes the break is the biggest thing we can do for humanity in that moment, because we need to, again, like you said, we need to take care of ourselves, you know, go for a spa day, go for a swim, you know, like you said, massage, woods, whatever, but also like treat yourself, because then your vibration is higher again in the end. Right. And that's just like, put on something that you know, that you feel beautiful in. Watch something that you can laugh, you know, laughing's so important, and just give yourself that pat on the back. You're doing so much.
Yes, yes. And I would in this moment also give people encouragement who are maybe, you know, feeling that something is off in their life, and they feel that they want to change something, maybe in the profession or in their life, that they can really change something or make the first step, because the time is about transformation, letting go all things, and only when you let go all things, you create space for new. And if you are a person who watches this video and you think your old job doesn't suit you, but you don't know where it's leading you, we are happy to help you, for example. But of course, also helping you clearing all your bodies, not just the physical body, but the ethereal bodies as well. And yes, it's time for also the light workers. It's the people who want to bring more love, peace, and freedom to the world, to step into their power and not hide anymore.
Definitely, 100%. And there's something that just crossed my mind, because I've been asked about that quite a lot in the past year. Like, being a light worker doesn't like feeling that you know you're on your way to new earth, or you already are on your new earth in higher frequencies and everything. That doesn't mean not everybody is going to be working, like not everybody's going to be, you know, a healer or a coach, or, you know, like we also need the people, you know, that are passionate about working on the fields. You know, we still need produce and food, you know, or working with animals, or even architects, and, you know, high vibrational, you know, energy, medicine workers, whatever you want to call them, right? We need all of these different, or people assisting in moving or creating, you know, like whatever.
Artists and singers,
yes.
whatever. Yes.
Absolutely. Like with my andaras, if I wouldn't have my friend that wraps the andaras so beautifully for people, like what would I do, right? So like everybody, and I keep on getting asked that people sometimes tell me, I don't feel called to work with other people. I go, then don't. Right? Like that's not everybody's path. But, you know, do what you feel called to do, even if it's just, my friend would just go, the one that wraps the andaras, she would go to the sea and collect what she would find at the sea, you know, like that was what she was called to do for a while, and that's what she was doing. So like it's steps, and do what you're called to do, and let go of I gotta do it for money, right? That's not the vibration. That just isn't. Do it for insight, from inside out.
Yes, yes, and we had that in other videos as well, and I had it with other people in the video as well. Follow the heart, or sometimes that can be scary because we don't know where it's leading us, but the heart knows the way, or our soul knows the way.
Definitely, 100%. Always, it's the path of the heart and the path of the soul, which corresponds.
Yeah, and you said it, we always are supported, and the universe has our back, and so it's important to trust, and that's also letting go and trust. And sometimes it needs to be shaky or unsure in the outside or in the personal life in order for us to trust, because if everything is always fine, we don't need to trust, because everything is always there and everything is always working out fine. But sometimes it's shaky, and then we can take a step back and remember that we can trust that everything will work out fine, or it will work out the way it's for the highest good.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not fine the way we think it is fine, but it's fine for the highest good.
Yeah, I mean, that's letting go a lot of the ego, right?
Oh,
We believe we know what's best, but We don't.
That's true. That's true. Also letting go of expectations and and as you said, tap oneself on the back and be proud. If we look back and see maybe where we had been 2 years ago and where we are now, to see the steps and not to see the things which feel maybe difficult at the moment. Of course, it's also having a focus on that in order to realize what's going on, but be thankful what we went through in the positive way, and be thankful for everything which will come into our life.
Yeah,
so we attract, and if we are thankful and open for good things, they will find us.
Yeah, I mean, gratitude, right? Gratitude attracts, and we have so much to be grateful for. Always.
Yes, Nicky, do you have a final, final sentence or a final few sentences for our listeners about the topic of transformation, or as we said, follow our heart?
So in times like these, when it can get it does get very, very intense, do gratitude lists. Like, write it out. I mean, I've wrote them out so many times that nowadays I do them in my head, but write them out. Do gratitude lists and write down, I'm grateful for clean water, hot water, cold water, electricity, internet. You don't have to go far for stuff that we can be grateful for. And it's amazing that we have these things, and they assist in raising our vibration, and assist in, when it is intense, that it is a little easier.
Yes, very, very nice. And sometimes it's not just, a big thing. It's something which can be very little, but still makes a big step in our life. That's, as you said, writing a few words down and taking a moment, and that can help. And for me, it's the final words: accept what is, and know or feel what we can change and what we can't change for the moment. But we can always change the perspective on it. We can always change the way we look at something, and then the outside changes accordingly.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so I think for today we're at the end of this video. But I'm happy if we're doing another one, Nicky. We will see.
It'd be lovely. Thank you for having me, and thank you for everybody that's watching. And yeah, I'm grateful for it all.
Thank you very much. And thank you also to everybody who is watching and listening. And I wish you, and we wish you all the best. And yes, a good transition and good healing. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.